thinking about this, BT. I had, some rest last night, driving home, trying to decompress. Is that the right word? From the long day. Yeah. Not decompose. You don't want that. Not yet, anyway.
Like the Giants?
Wow. That's exactly what I was thinking about. I mean, we did all the Jet stuff yesterday, and with the playoffs. And we'll get into that later with AVT and see if that changes your mind. But I was thinking about the Giants and just that, you know what? I don't want to get away from what I believe in with this team. There was a reason why I believed in the Giants coming into the year. And I know right now it feels like they're the worst team in football. If not the worst, one of the worst teams in football. And I don't believe that's going to be the case. We went over the schedule yesterday, and it's hard to imagine them winning 3-4 games. You know what? I believe they're going to stabilize here, not Sunday night. And matter of fact, we get into details, Daniel Jones or whatever else what they should do Sunday night. But forget Sunday night. But after that, when the schedule does soften and guys start to get healthy, I trust Dable. I do trust Daniel Jones ultimately. And I believe this team will figure it out to be a respectable football team the rest of the way.
I would stay in that car and keep thinking. Because if this is what you come up with when you leave the car, when you pull in the garage, I mean, listen, dude, I'd love to see it. I really, truly would. I appreciate the optimism. The Giants don't do a single thing well.
Right now,
they
don't.
Don't do anything well.
But they started to, even in the game against Miami, didn't you feel watching that game that early on, obviously we know there's talent disparity, but didn't you feel early on hey, the Giants are moving the football better? There's an ineptitude, not to bring the Jets back into it, but when you see the Jets struggling offensively, it's like 3 and out. They can't do anything. The Giants are actually moving the football, which gave me a little bit of confidence. Now, the results aren't there. They haven't scored, a first half touchdown or something like that. They're not playing. They haven't scored.
First half offensive, right?
Yeah, right. They haven't played with a lead, whatever it may be. We talked about that last week. It's ridiculous. The ineptitude is off the charts. However, I see enough signs where I do think he can get back to respectability. And I'm not making excuses.
I got you.
But reality is, the offensive line is banged up. They need Thomas back in the worst way. They need the center back. You need Barkley back.
Yeah,
when that starts to happen, they will level out. This is not the worst team in the NFL. I think you could look at this team and say at the end of the year, winning 6 games, which, by the way, at this point would be an accomplishment.
If the Giants wound up going 6-11, honestly, I would really laud their achievement. As crazy as that sounds, that's how far away to me they are. They're not even in the stratosphere of being competitive. I mean, we laugh at Denver, and Denver's point differential is 60. We laugh at the pain of the Patriots. Their run differential is 76. The Giants it's 91. Now, here's the problem. If Daniel Jones does play this week, and hopefully he's able to, and I don't say this cavalierly, and I certainly don't say this with any disregard to his body, but if he does play, Daniel Jones is eventually going to get hurt.
Yeah, I would not play him Sunday night for the record.
Wait, you wouldn't play him Sunday
no,
if he's healthy?
And we could get into that later. I'm just saying, why would you do that if he's even remotely banged up and is going against that? They're not going to win that game anyway. So
but you can't project that as a staff. You can't.
But it's
if
not
you're 1-13, that's different. It's still early October. How do you say that to your team?
It's not like you're sitting him because he's banged up. He's not 100% potentially.
Well, but if he's
plus he could use a breather, I think.
Yeah, he can. I mean, the number is what it is. 90%, 86%. Who knows? They'll decipher if he's physically capable to compete. I don't think it matters. The offense stinks. The defense is not very impressive. Special teams, depending upon the week, it's either a circus or a train wreck. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Giants, to me, that is a massive leap of faith. And again, I
remember, too.
Yeah.
You're right, it is. But let's just go based off of, again, not excuses, but some facts here. We know the injuries, right? We went over that.
Yep.
Dallas, San Francisco, Seattle, Miami, Buffalo. That is a brutal stretch. Now,
That's tough.
I thought they were going to be ready for it, at least on par with the Cowboys maybe and compete in that game, certainly the Seahawks. And it turns out they're not, right? We know that. However, after that, and forget the Jets game, and I know we've had a lot of fun with that, and we will continue to have fun with that, but those are winnable. I feel like the Giants can get to a point, certainly with the Commanders, they're on their level. The Raiders, I do think the Jets, too, that's a winnable game. The Patriots at home, the Packers aren't very good. Like, there are some games where right now, nothing on the Giants' schedule looks like a winnable game. But assuming that they can stabilize, right the ship a little bit, their schedule does become more favorable to a point where there may not be the 3-win team that you're saying. I think they could be respectable and get to 6.
Yeah, I think they're drafting top 3, top 4. I think, and I've hinted to this a few times, deeper aspect of the conversation. If that comes to fruition, do you take a quarterback if they finish top 3, top 4? But here's the thing. I'm not even, this is going to sound so, like such a contradiction to the core principles of competing. Mm-hmm. And this has nothing to do with tanking. But big picture for the Giants, if they were to win 6, I mean, that represents a pretty appreciable uptick in performance the rest of the way, right?
From where we are right now.
Really
Absolutely,
does.
yeah.
I mean, and yeah, I used the
Which
word.
is why I think it's a big deal, like to say that.
It would be. And I even used the word laud before. Like, I truly would laud that. I would be I'd be stunned. I'd be incredibly impressed. But even if that did happen, which I think is almost impossible, I don't know if that's good for the franchise. Like, I think that it's almost better, and I'll put quotes around the word better, for them to just bottom out so that they really, truly know they are miles from being good.
See, I think that they know that, though, because the signs were there. And let's not forget, this was another part of my thought process driving home last night. Let's not forget, Joe Shane and Brian Dable took over an absolute mess where we weren't even sure who the quarterback and running back were going to be prior to last year. Like, it wasn't doubting Barkley's ability, but we were doubting whether Barkley would be back or not because it was a total rebuild. I think the worst thing that could happen, you're saying 6 wins this year would be bad. I think the worst thing that could happen happened to them last year, getting to the divisional round, because it was so far exceeding what they really are. It gave fans false hope. Mm-hmm. And they even said
it also
after
forced
the year,
them to pay Jones.
Well, correct.
Honestly.
Correct. That's another great point. They even said after the year, like, hey, be careful, because the natural step, if you're a fan thinking like, hey, we got to the division round this year, wait till year 2, we're going to go to the championship game or beyond. They weren't there yet. They knew it. Now, did I think that there would be this significant a drop-off? No, and that's a problem, and they have to correct it. But I think that they will. But remember how early on in the process we are here in what essentially is a total rebuild. And to their credit, they did sign Jones, but they only did it for basically the 2 years.
Yes.
So it was like an extension of the evaluation. But I do believe that Jones will get things turned around. Now, whether he's going to be the quarterback of the future after a couple of years, that's still to be determined. But for this year, I still think there's plenty of time, and I think there's enough there, assuming they could get somewhat healthy here, to where they could be respectable.
This complicates the way the Giants are viewed. I will certainly admit it's a little bit confounding here because, and I used the word linear yesterday. It's just not always linear in sports. You don't just always have that little incremental uptick where as you ascend. Sometimes it's a massive step. If you, like in the NBA, you acquire a superstar, you go from whatever to, truly a player, right? In the NFL, I think it's easier to dodge. If you're a fan of whatever team, all right, you win 3 games and you scratch out 7 and you're competitive, and then maybe you get wild card and then you host, right? And then you're on your way to, maybe winning a Super Bowl. But the complexity of trying to analyze these Giants, they overachieved so much a year ago that it's clouded everybody's perception of who they are and where they should be and what they should do. I almost feel badly for the staff, for Dable and Shane, because last year was not the Giants. You're right. This year is more the Giants.
Right. So that's where I end up, where I think that there's somewhere in between, right? Last year, forget about going to the divisional round. Well, they won 9 games last year, getting in the postseason. This year, it looks like they're going to win 3 games right now, max. I think there's somewhere in between what they were last year and what we've seen so far through the first 5 weeks of the season. BT and Sal on the Fan, our friends at Town Fair Tire. Remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. William is calling from Manhattan. What's up, William?
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Good morning, Will. What's up?
Listen, man, I'm a Giant fan here going into the season. I was excited about this, but now the way we've been playing, we've just been getting beaten up week in and week out. It looks really bad. I don't think we get into 6 wins, Sal. I think it's more like a 3-win team, possibly 4, especially if we decide to try to sell off whatever pieces we can. It's bad. I did not see this shit coming. I'm sorry. I did not see this coming, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for the call, Will. I didn't see it coming either. And look, I understand looking at the schedule, it's hard to envision 6 wins right now, but I do believe that you're going to see, like, we've seen the worst football you can possibly see from this team. I've got to believe BT. Now, again, a couple of things have to happen. They've got to get healthy, and they've got to stop beating themselves. That's what they did so well last year. They have more talent than they did a year ago. So as long as they clean it up, stop beating themselves, like, they should be at least better offensively than where they were a year ago. And I also think Daniel Jones right now is in such a rut, trying to do too much, skittish because of the offensive line play, which, by the way, is understandable to have him, not panicking, but doubting himself.
I get that, yep.
So I feel it's got to get better. And if it doesn't get better, then everything should come into question, whether that's Shane, Dable, Jones, whatever. I really, truly believe I'm not going to jump off the bandwagon. Obviously, they're not going to be what I thought they were, which would have been a playoff team this year. But I believe they'll be respectable.
I don't want to alarm anybody because this feels like rock bottom, doesn't it? I mean, honestly.
Right. That's kind of my point. I don't know if it could get worse than this.
It could. And this is how it could get worse, where guys check out. That's why if they're going to follow the script that Sal plotted out before, which I completely don't see happen. I just don't see it. But if that's going to happen, you better beat the Commanders. Because once you get to a point when you're 1-9, it's over, man.
Well, no, the Commanders becomes...
It's over. Guys, especially in football, guys check out. They don't want to get hurt. They want to preserve their body. They don't think, having a whistle blown in their face all week in practice and putting on the pads in December when there's nothing literally at stake except their health and their reputations, which is what matters for them because it's a week-to-week analysis in the NFL, certainly year to year. So it can get worse. Like right now, I believe that we asked, and we'll have Adoree Jackson coming up later, poor Adoree, and bear the brunt of this ineptitude. We asked him, I'm like, and do you guys care? Because it doesn't look as if you care. And I do believe that they care, but they're a month away from not caring. It could get worse. It could get worse.
Right, but it could get better. And I really, truly believe this. The same way you're going yesterday with after the Jets loss to the Eagles or expected loss to the Eagles, you think they're going to win. I firmly believe, again, health is a big factor. Like, if you're telling me Thomas isn't ready by week 7, week 8 for the Commanders or Jets, different story. Barkley, same thing. Like, those guys got to get back. But if they do, I believe the Giants could be in a stretch here where they could win 3 of the next 4. At the very least, 2 of the next.
I'd be impressed. I'd be stunned. I'd be impressed.
And think about this, BT. So they're 1-4 right now.
Yep.
If they lose to Buffalo, 1-5, but then win the next 3 games or next 2, let's just say they beat the Commanders and beat your Jets, which would just be
first off, if the Jets lose to them, Sala, you better just walk out of the stadium, never come back. That's the end of the road. There's no way the Jets will lose that game. There's no chance.
So let's just say the Giants, 2 home games for the Giants, and I get it, but it's not like the Jets can't beat.
I'll play the game. Giants beat the Jets. Commanders, Jets. Go ahead.
That's 2 wins right there.
They're 3-5 at that point.
Yeah, which is all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like, not only are you back to respectability, you're in the thick of things. 3-5 going to Vegas, which we saw that game last night. Like, Vegas and the Packers, who the Giants play later on, like, they're not unbeatable. Oh, and by the way, even the Cowboys. Now, I know the Cowboys are on a different level. I get that. But, like, maybe the Cowboys start to fall apart here. They just got undressed on national TV. They thought, the Cowboys thought that they were on the Niners level. And the Niners smacked them back down to earth the same way the Cowboys did to the Giants week 1. You don't know how that's going to have an impact on Dallas. They may be done now. Talking about guys checking out. Anyway, I don't want to get too crazy here, but I think realistically the Giants could be 3-5 going into week 9 against the Vegas Raiders.
You got part of it right. They'll be 3. It's called the 3rd overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft. I just don't see it.
Joe is calling from Dallas. Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good, Joe. What's up?
Diehard Giant fan. I think, unfortunately, you could put the fork in them. They're done. It is what it is. And I just wanted to let you guys know what you think about this. There are 3 areas that the Giants have been suffering with for years. Tackles, offensive tackles, defensive ends, and linebacker position. In the draft with 3 general managers, we haven't hit once yet. We finally hit after 10 years plus with our left tackle. We finally hit one.
Mm-hmm.
Our defensive ends, we haven't hit a great defense end, a Pro Bowl defensive end since JPP in 2010. And linebacker position, we haven't picked our own linebacker who's been a Pro Bowl since 1993 with Jesse Armstead, who was picked in the 8th round.
Wow.
So you have three, if you look up the statistics, the three general managers have failed the Giants fans and the Giant organization for years. We've never addressed the offensive line since 2014.
Well, they've addressed it. They've addressed it, Joe, and you bring up some good points, and thank you for the call. Oh, sorry, Joe. They've addressed it. They just haven't gotten it right up front. And that's the problem. And you can say, well, yeah, they got Thomas. Yeah, but they missed on everything else. So they need to. And look, Evan Neal, I'm not trying to pick on the guy. He's got to get benched. Like, pick somebody on the team that put a tight end there. I don't care. Put somebody that can actually put a body on somebody. You can't be blocking air every time you show the like. He's just standing there. I mean,
what's his? I'd like to know his win rate against air. I'm not even sure it's 100%. I mean, that was just too easy.
Dude, come on. He's getting beat. You're right. He's getting beaten by the air. I'm not kidding. I legitimately think you and I could put on the pads and go out there and do something. Like, at least we'd give the effort. He doesn't know what he's doing.
He's pushing his own guys more than he's pushing the opposition.
This is what I would tell Coach Stapes. Look, I understand that I'm undersized. I understand I'm going to get bulldozed by these guys, but I guarantee you this. I've got the ticker. Put me in the pads. Tell me what to do.
All right, stop. You sound ridiculous now, dude. Come on, dude.
Put me in the pads. Tell me who to put my body on. I will go down trying. I'll get run over. I understand that. But just like Rudy, I'll get back up again.
Rudy.
Yeah, that'd be me. They'd be
you look like a kicker. You're going to help out the offensive line. Would you stop?
They'd be beating my face into the dirt, but it's about the effort. I wouldn't go down because of trying, and I wouldn't stand there blocking air looking like I want to run the other way. That's for sure.
A joke, miss. But with all this being said, this is the team you think is about to rattle off 3 out of 4 wins, just to clarify.
Good point.
Okay.
What was I thinking?
I don't know.
Ray is calling from Babylon, Ray.
Hey, Ray.
Caleb Williams, Sal. You should be tanking for Williams. You have a better chance of being a starting O-line for the Giants than the Giants have of going 3 over the next 5. What are you talking about? Daniel Jones hurt his neck last year, and all of a sudden he waxed his neck again this week.
2 years ago.
You really think he's going to – 2 years ago.
Yeah, with Dallas, yeah. Yep.
He's prone for that neck injury, and it's coming back to him. 17 sacks in the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the love of God, let's just be responsible and look at where this team is. You really think that they got a shot against the Jets?
Yes, I do.
I can't wait to call up after that game.
Wait. Why wouldn't I think that they have? Now, again, I said that they got to get healthy, and obviously that means Daniel Jones, it means Thomas, it means Saquon Barkley. Why wouldn't the Giants have a chance against the Jets?
Well, first of all, look at our defense.
Whose defense?
We put the Jets. The Jets were very respectable this past Sunday.
Congratulations, you beat one of the worst teams in football, and maybe you could do it again against the Giants. You're making it like the Jets are good.
They control the tempo of that game against the Broncos, and you know what normally happens? They soil a bed after a great performance. We all know that. They played a great game against KC, which truly, and I'm not just being a fan saying this, but for these refs who did everything they can, that's
the Jets got hosed. Right. Jets got everybody. Right. Jets got. And by the way, don't leave out the Josh Allen game. Josh Allen right now, his odds for the MVP are soaring in a favorable direction. He's played one atrocious game. It was against the Jets.
See what happens next time when those two teams meet.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I hear you, but without Tre'Davious White, Matt Milano got hurt too. Their linebacker, who's phenomenal.
Look, here, BT, that's fine. Look, you guys may be right about the Jets. Can we see it first?
I got you.
Of the two teams, coach, quarterback, which are the combinations have played in the postseason? I mean, the high and mighty Zach Wilson and Robert Saleh combination with that big, bad defense, Jets defense. Look what we did against Kansas City. Look what we did against Denver. Have they been in the postseason? Because I didn't see them in the postseason a year ago.
We got scrappy Sal today.
Oh,
we got antagonistic Sal today. I like that version once in a while.
That Subway, I don't understand how in this city you could have an express train and then a local train, but the local train doesn't make the local stops. You better believe I'm feisty. And it's not about the Jets, but I'll be damned if I have a Jet fan call in, BT. And you and I are going to do battle about this up until this game, which I can't wait. This will be our little Super Bowl here. The reality is both teams are no good. Okay,
No, that's your reality.
No, that's
my reality is that the Giants are horrendous and the Jets are ascending.
and the Jets are a little bit better than
No,
horrendous.
they're a lot better. Come on,
They're
stop.
2-3.
Stop.
They're 2-3.
And they played three of the best defenses in football.
They
really did.
The Giants have played all the best teams in football.
But they've gotten eviscerated by the best teams. The Jets have lost by a score.
Oh, they got their ass kicked by Dallas. You were there to see it.
They lost by. I know the Pats are a wreck now, but they lost by 5 points when they still had Judon and everything.
They lost at home in a game that they can't
And they got
lose.
hosed by the refs against Kansas City.
All right, so they got hosed by the refs. The Giants have been missing guys left and right. I mean,
Don't compare the two, please. Now, when they
I'm not
play,
gonna-
I understand you're rooting for the Giants, but let's not put the Giants. I'm not saying the Jets are a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, but they sure as hell they're not in the NIT.
How many
the
games-
Giants are in the CBI right now, whatever that third or fourth tier tournament is.
how many games
that you
better-
have to pay to get into? By the way,
you're right. How many games better are the Jets than the Giants?
They're one
right now?
game.
1 game.
What do you think the spread's going to be, honestly? Jets, Giants, let's say the Jets lose this weekend, which they probably will, then the bye, but they're fairly competitive. Let's say the Jets lose by 7 to 10, but it's aesthetically okay.
Right.
Giants get absolutely waxed, which they will against the Bills. Jets have the bye. Giants,
have Commanders,
Well,
yeah.
Commanders, what's the spread? It's a Giants home game. Jets by what? 7? 7.5?
I'd say
what's
pick
the
'em.
number?
I would say it's a pick 'em.
A
Jets by
pick 'em.
7.5.
A pick 'em?
Are you out of your mind?
Oh, pick 'em.
Dude, you have no idea how badly you're overrating the Jets, who have accomplished squats.
It's just starting. The playoff push
Yeah,
is starting.
I
I don't
heard
even want to
this-
make this about the Jets.
I
You're
heard
the
the
one who
same
you
thing
keep
last
bringing me into
year.
the Jet-Giant
No,
thing.
the caller
This is about
brought
the
it up.
Giants.
The caller brought
Well,
it
that's
up.
true, but you kind of furthered it. You know, we could have
Because
easily
I'm
dismissed
tired.
that.
Because let's focus on the Giants then. And no, I didn't want to
There's
dismiss
nothing
it.
to focus on. They're unwatchable.
But he's talking about the Giants. Oh, how dare you say that the Giants are going to beat the mighty Jets? Oh, the mighty 2-3 Jets who got waxed at home again by the New England Patriots and embarrassed themselves, losing for the 15th straight time. I mean, come on. These are the same Jets that coughed away a halftime. I mean, an opportunity to put up points. That's the team. Put it this way. I don't care what the point spread is in that game. I trust Dable. I trust Jones way more than I will ever trust Robert Saleh and Zach Wilson. But you're right, BT. That may be a conversation for a different day.
Yeah, it will be.
BT and Sal on the fan, 877-337-66. I can't wait for that game. We'll get back to your calls on the other side. Plenty to do here. Just getting started. We'll get into some Jets a little bit later on. Maybe do some baseball as well. Your calls next on the fan.